Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to a different setting. I decided I was going to play around a little bit today. Today caused a little bit of a celebration for me. I was really happy about certain things, and I figured I would start moving everything upstairs rather than having it downstairs in my office. This is obviously, again, not my studio. You guys may recognize this from some of the photos and some of the videos I've put up on TikTok messing around. This is actually an area in my game room upstairs. It's kind of a big lounge area where we hang out. Me and my friends hang out, come up here, got a pool table, a couple of TVs, and some recliner chairs. Come up here and hang out, sit down, chill. But today is a little bit of a celebration. I decided that on top of what I'm happy about, I decided I was going to smoke a little hookah. So today, while I'm talking to you guys, I'm going to be smoking my hookah. It's tobacco only, and it's basically filtered out. It goes through water. I can't show it to you guys right now, but I'm sure you guys have all seen them. Hookahs are, for less description, it's a bong, but it's been around. They've been around for hundreds of years. Started over in the Middle East, Asia, parts like that, and it's literally just tobacco with some coals sitting on top of it, and it's filtered through a box. This one, buddy of mine, Fred, and I. Fred kind of got me on all this, and the way he sets them up is he actually uses sparkling water instead of just regular water inside there. And I tell you what, it enhances the flavor of everything. It's fantastic. So if you guys see me look away every once in a while, I got the setup in here. Again, I'm just sitting in the chair, but this is not the regular setup. And so I'm just messing around with certain things, playing with it. And so I've got a monitor over here, checking stuff, making sure everything showing up properly. So, having a good time with this, guys. And the reason for celebration is today I hit 200 subscribers on YouTube. That's in 2 weeks. I've been doing this now for 2 solid weeks on YouTube. Started the YouTube page 2 weeks ago, and just really having a good time with it. Just posting these kinds of videos, talking to you guys, having fun. Well, the viewership has been amazing. I get all these analytics of everything that show up, and got to puff on it every once in a while. But I get all these analytics that show up, and it shows that out of the videos I've posted, there's nearly 1,000 views so far, which is phenomenal. What I find amazing, though, is only 25% of all the views that I'm getting right now are coming from actual subscribers. So it's getting a lot of reach. There's a lot of viewership happening outside, coming in from outside. So that makes me pretty happy. It's just about growing things and having fun with it and putting good content out there. But there's almost 200 hours of viewership. That blows my mind. That there's almost 200 hours of viewership on everything. It's just insane. And I want to say thank y'all. That's just amazing to me. Again, I look at it, I'm just a simple guy. I'm nobody special. I just like to get on here and talk shit. Of course, I've got some really great guests lined up for the show, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. But just me sitting on here right now, just bullshitting with you guys, kind of opening up and revealing parts of my life, 200 hours worth of viewership is phenomenal. That just blows my mind. So I want to say thank you guys. I really appreciate that. So this will probably be something I'll do regularly with some of the guests. A lot of my friends, they smoke this stuff. Again, it's just tobacco. There's nothing else in there. It's just tobacco. Got to clear it out every once in a while. Actually, kind of funny story about this is we went to Mexico in May and went with a big group of friends. And the four guys that went, we all will smoke hookah. What we ended up doing was Fred brought the hookah himself. He broke it all down, put it in his suitcase, wrapped it up. I brought tobacco. Another guy brought tobacco. You guys, you can bring it into Mexico. It's just like bringing in, cigarettes, things like that. And we would take it down to the pool at the resort and we would smoke it. But you have to kind of set everything up at the hotel room. And so we're walking down the sidewalks holding the hookah and everybody's just looking at us because you're in Mexico. So they automatically assume guys, going to be doing stupid shit. And it's just a hookah. We literally have no sit there and walk by everybody say, nope, it's just a hookah. It's just a hookah. So anyway, kind of fun. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, which like I said, was celebrating, was the fact that I started my Facebook page yesterday for the Managed Chaos show. Jason Husk Show, Managed Chaos. Follow me on Facebook. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. Follow me on YouTube. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe. I was supposed to say that shit all the time. Again, it's just not, I don't know. I think it's kind of fucking corny, but I think I'm going to stop saying it. I just like talking to y'all. But I started that page yesterday. And of course, I sent out an invite to everybody on my friends list. It gives you that option when you start a page. You do that automatically. And the people, honestly, all my friends, people that I interact with quite often, just immediately started jumping on it, liking it, subscribing, following, all that stuff. So I really appreciate that. But I'm getting, because of the YouTube channel, because of the reach of some of the stuff, I'm getting people from all over the world finding the page, liking it, following it, subscribing. And so that has also hit 200 people. I think I checked just before I came on, it was right at 200 people. And again, that's only one day old. And I got to tell you, it tells you the power of Facebook, I guess. It kind of blows my mind. There's, 2 billion people on there. And I got people from all over the world following it. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. Like I said, I'm just kind of a normal guy. I just like to get on here and bullshit. And so for people to come on and follow my stuff, I'm super appreciative. I think it's awesome. So I'll put that down for a minute. I've gotten a lot of questions, obviously, from a couple of videos I did this week. Actually had somebody ask me a question today about my experience while I was gone, while I was away for 4 years. And, of course, the things you see on TV, the things you hear, some of that stuff's true. It's funny because, obviously, a lot of my friends, everybody in my family, my friends, they all know about it. And every once in a while, like a new movie involving, like, prison, stuff like that will come out. And they'll say, hey, man, did you see that? Was it anything like that? And most of the time, the answer is no. There was actually a movie called Shot Caller, The Shot Caller, or just Shot Caller. It's on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's anywhere else. It's on Netflix. And it's got the main character is a guy from Game of Thrones. He was Sir Jaime from Game of Thrones. Anyway, and then also the Punisher, the guy that played the Punisher in the new Netflix series, he's in it. And a couple other really, really, really good actors are in this movie. Anyway, it's based in California. I can tell you anywhere I was, it was nothing like that. Thank God. The initial dorm that I was in, the very first dorm I was in at the Holiday Unit, was very similar to the dorm where he was in the very beginning. And except for all of the way Texas sets up all of their facilities is that way there's no hidden corners anywhere. They set it up so that at no time a camera can't see everything that's going on there, or that a guard can't see everything that's happening. So you don't have bunks in the middle of the room. Everything's kind of on the perimeter, and that way the cameras and guards can see everything. you go to some of the other facilities and you don't have like if you watch the shot caller, yeah, they do have the cells, they do have the 2-man cells, they do have the segregation cells. What I never saw was like when you're like really, really bad and you got like a life sentence and you only get like 1 hour of rec time. These cages that they show, I never saw anything like that. Of course, wherever I was, nothing like that. I don't know that anything like that actually exists in Texas. So kind of weird. But the question I was asked today was, did anybody try anything? And the answer is no. Texas used to have a really bad history for that. People were committing suicide. You had 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds coming in, and they were being attacked by older men, and they were being raped, and suicide rate was through the roof. Murder was through the roof. And so Texas started this Safe Prisons Act, and that's when they started restructuring everything, and it's based on protection of the inmates, making sure stuff like that doesn't happen. Extortion is a big thing there. Signs all over the walls, things like that. You know, you're supposed to report extortion, stuff like that. But where I was, stuff like that really never happened. You never heard of things like that even happening. It just wasn't a thing. The worst thing that you ever saw there was gambling, which is kind of normal. And every once in a while, there would be some hooch that was made, and people would be tattooing. But again, all in all, not creating violence and things like that. Unfortunately, people would get in trouble for that kind of stuff, which is all in itself kind of stupid. But I understand why. It's just something you're not supposed to do. And obviously, if you're able to make hooch, it means you got your hands on some stuff you're not supposed to have your hands on. If you're tattooing, you obviously have your hands on things that you're not supposed to have your hands on while you're there. It wasn't drugs, things like that. But like I said, going back to no one ever tried anything, nothing like that. There was plenty of altercations and fights and things like that, but you just have to be tough, and you got to kind of deal with that shit as it comes. The worst thing that I ever had to deal with, and I tried to explain to somebody, I explained to this guy today, what it was like is imagine like a frat house on steroids. And what I mean by that is that everybody that is there, it's kind of temporary. You don't have people where I was, you don't have people that are there for 20, 30, 40 years. You have people that are generally spending anywhere between, at the most, maybe 7 or 8 years, but as little as maybe 6 months at this particular facility on the trustee camp. And so everybody has a focus on going home, but it's a bunch of guys together, and they act like children. And like I said, they're gambling on sports and other shit like that. And the worst thing that happens, in my opinion, is when you're in an environment like that, things can get carried away pretty quickly, and you just kind of realize that. And so what you have to be conscious of is what they would do, which is insane to me, is you have a bunch of guys that, quite honestly, it's a strange, really, really strange environment. Okay. You have an environment where everybody proclaims to be ultra macho. Everybody tries to be an alpha A-type personality, which you can tell they're not. 95% of the people there are not alphas in any way. Most of them got there because they were following along with somebody else or got in trouble with somebody else. But while they're there, they're associating with other people, and they're clearly not alphas. And what ends up happening is these people that make up the larger population, they play a lot of games. They were again termed as gay games. Now, again, you're talking about a lot of guys that proclaim to be macho, and apparently, they're strongly against homosexuality and things like that. But they would play these games where basically they would walk up and like swipe their hand through the ass crack of somebody, and if somebody flinched, you got to like slap them in the back of the head. Again, kind of like frat, bullshit boy stuff. If you're a woman watching this, the only way you're going to relate is if you've had a son who was in football and they do stupid shit and, hitting each other in the nuts and things like that. But it was a really weird dynamic that was there. You again, which I found it funny was that, for example, the nights that everybody, I've never one time seen an episode of Empire when the TVs in two of the 3 day rooms would go to Empire. They would turn them on Empire on 2 of the 3 TVs on the night it came on. And then I would go to the back day room where they had sports on, and I'd sit there and watch sports while they had this on, or I'd go in my the dorm and I'd read a book. And what the funniest part to me is that you had all these people, all these guys that were so, homophobic and anti-gay and all this other stuff, and they're watching a show where 50% of the characters are gay. But you'd hear every single time, it's like they know it's coming. They know that there's going to be 2 guys kissing on this show. Hell, half the shows on TV now have, they have homosexual, individuals on it, gay people on it. And you always see it. And so it was really funny because if they ever saw 2 women that were kissing, yeah, they'd cheer, yeah. But if it was 2 men, you would hear this, oh, that's so fucking sick, and they would make a bunch of comments, but they would watch the show every single week. It was the funniest thing to me. So you had these individuals that would behave this way. They pretended to be macho. They would play these gay games. They would go around and they would watch these shows. And they just had this mentality in this person. It was so in contradiction. The things that they would say and do were so in contradiction into what they claimed their ethos was and everything. And so it was really weird. Well, you have this thing called a shower box. Now, in the dorms, we had our own bathroom facility. So when you live in the building, you have to go shower at a specific time. Unless you got a particular job, you're going to go shower in the morning, early in the morning around breakfast time. Whew. You're going to walk up there, you're going to go, and you're going to go down dorm by dorm, and they're going to make you go into the showers. And when you go into these in the building, there's probably 50 to 60 guys in there showering at one time. You put your shit on the ground, you walk over, you shower, and yeah, there are a lot of people there. I mean, what they would end up doing is they would take a lot of the guys that were openly gay, and they would put all of them in one dorm together. And the reason they would do that is mostly for their protection, not because somebody else. In reality, what would end up happening is you'd have one of these gay guys flirt with a non-gay guy, and the non-gay guy would have to show his macho-ness in front of his friends, and he would end up beating up one of these guys. That's unfortunate dynamic of a place like that. So they'd put all the gay men into one dorm by themselves. But when you go to lunch, you go to work, you go to the shower, schools, all that stuff, it's all intertwined. It's just not dorms together. So when you go to the shower box, you go shower and there's 50, 60 guys in there. At any given time, there's probably 5 to 10 gay men in there, and they're in there hooting and hollering and whistling, and they are flirting and being inappropriate with other guys in there. But there's a lot of guards there. I did hear about, there was one time that we got locked down. Someone did get stabbed in the shower box, and I believe it's because of an incident like that. But I didn't have to deal with all that where I was outside the fence. We had our own. Each dorm had their own bathroom facilities. What we had was there was probably 15 sinks in there. So there's plenty of sinks for people to, obviously brush your teeth and, wash your face, whatever. They actually had a big utility sink in there it was meant for janitorial services within the dorm. But a lot of times what guys there would use it for is actually washing clothes. That was as they called it, a hustle. People would pay other people to wash their clothes. And they would wash them there in like the utility sink. you wash it with soap. You know, you got to be amazed how clean you can get certain things with just like soap. So we have a shower box there, which you have to imagine what this is. It's like a big freezer cooler, where if you walked into like a supermarket or a meat market, they have a big freezer, and the walls are either FRP board, which is like a white cleanable, like hard board, you can clean it off, or they're like stainless steel. Well, everything here was stainless steel, and the intention was that you couldn't break anything off and use it as a weapon. Stainless steel being obviously one of the hardest materials out there and doesn't rust. So they lined the walls. The walls and the ceiling were lined with stainless steel. And then you had like 8 shower heads in there. And there was always this one guy. And it was the weirdest thing to me that, you know, big guy, but of course that's how it always turns out. It's a really big guy. He was actually from the Port Arthur area. And he would make comments. Nothing nothing like threatening towards me, nothing threatening towards other guys. But when you get in the shower box, he'd start talking shit to people, and you know, man, they would make these comments, and it was just odd. And there was this little white guy. I forget where the fuck he's from. Maybe Lufkin or something like that. And his name was Chad, little Chad. He'd been locked up 2 or 3 separate times at his young age. He was only in his maybe mid to late 20s. He'd probably been in prison now. I think this was his second or third time in. Drugs, meth, as they called it, mething around. Anyway, good kid, great baseball player, great little athlete. But we get in the shower, and they would banter back and forth and talk about slapping each other's asses and talking about, oh my God, it was just the craziest thing to me that you would have men in that environment that would do that. It just blew my mind that they would talk like that, knowing that in that environment, how quickly, and I guess that was the reality of it. They were comfortable with it. But something could go wrong that quickly in a place like that, when, you know, you got that many people, that many personalities. In reality, it's everybody that's there. There can be no gang affiliation. You can't be, you know, clicked up, as they say. You can't have any of that where we were at. And so it was more or less every man for himself kind of thing. And so you'd be surprised at how fast, you know, shit could go wrong in a place like that, because everybody's going to be looking out for themselves. And so you just never know where something would be coming from. It was a really just weird environment. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, somebody asked me that today. It's been asked of me in the past, and the answer, no, thank God, nothing like that ever happened. Thank God I was never, in an environment or around where I actually had to deal with that. Like I said, there was fights, there was a lot of stuff. I'll tell you, you know, after I was granted parole, there was a show called Animal Kingdom. It was on TNT, and this was like a hugely anticipated show for everybody that was out there. And keep in mind, a lot of it's unfortunately, in an environment like that, a lot of it is racial. So you have a lot of things that are separated by race. A lot of times you just, you know, a lot of people, that's just kind of how everybody's kind of sitting together and around. I was kind of in a weird environment there. You know, being Jewish, I couldn't, there was a lot of white people that I couldn't associate with. There was a lot of people in general that would not associate with me because I was Jewish. The people that I actually got along with, that I ate dinner with on the most regular basis, were was a couple black guys and a couple Mexican guys that I actually ate meals with on a regular basis, because most of the white people there wouldn't associate with me, and that's just kind of how it was. It was, like I said, it was a really weird environment, which, again, I think might add some context for a lot of people, that when I say the things that I say, it doesn't go without knowing all the dynamics of this stuff. I have people that contact me now that I associated with on a daily basis there, that are of a different race than I am, and we may not agree on everything, say politically, but as far as like humanization of individuals and respect and being against things like racism, obviously we see eye to eye on stuff like that. Well, obviously for a lot of reasons, I could not associate with a lot of white people, being that, in a place like that, white people are the minority, and you end up with a power struggle there. Luckily on the trustee camp, they did very, very good by trying to keep everything to pretty much like a third, and a third. You go inside of a building, you might be in a dorm. They try to keep things, kind of even balanced so it doesn't go way out. But on the trustee camp, they really try to keep everything as a third, and a third. A third of the white, third black, third, Hispanic. And so again, just a weird dynamic. So anyway, I had made parole, and we're gonna watch this show. Again, it's been anticipated. They'd been advertised forever. We had regular cable. We didn't have like movie channels or anything like that. We had TNT, TBS. So we'd watch movies and shows on there. We got ESPN, Fox Sports Southwest. So we were able to watch like the Astros, things like that. Football Sunday was huge. That was a massive deal. But Animal Kingdom was a hugely anticipated show for everybody there. And it didn't matter what race you were, nothing. Everybody wanted to see it. And the way it works there is, obviously it's by seniority. I had been there for 4 years at this point, so I had kind of earned my way to the front row. Well, first off, in the very beginning, because of the friendships I had made, I was able to sit in the first 2 rows from the very beginning. I never had to start at the back. And believe me, it's a very fucked up, strict thing there. You're not going to get up there. So what people do is you put out a marker. You have these big benches, and people put out markers, and you sit down, and where you have, like, people might put a cup out there or a Bible or another kind of book, and it's identifiable, and it's yours. And a big rule is there, you don't touch what's not yours. Obviously, theft is a major thing. Luckily, we never had to experience it, but that was a major thing, because you have very little there. You don't have a lot. It's not like, my house now, where I could walk from one room to the other, and I've got 6 beds in this house, and I've got 9 TVs here. You don't have that there. You don't have a lot of options. You have one thing of shampoo. You're only allowed, like so many bars of soap. You can't have like huge multiples of a lot of stuff. So you're very limited on what you can actually have. So what you have is yours. And theft and touching other people's shit, it's a huge fucking no-no. So that's how things would be marked. You'd set all these markers out. And that's just an ongoing rule everywhere. So the day that Animal Kingdom was coming on, I actually was able to make an arrangement with the guards and the management there to, normally what would happen is, if we did count, sometimes they would let us stay in the day room, but depending on what officers were there, they would make us go to our bunks, and we'd have to get there, and they would count us there. Well, I made arrangements the day before that everybody would be fucking good if they counted us in the day room. Because I promised them that there would be a lot of fucking pissed off people and a lot of very angry individuals if count ran while the show was on, and we ended up missing this show because everybody wanted to watch it. So everybody went into the day room that morning. Everybody went in there early, and I had access to the day room at like 3, 4 in the morning. I could go I mean, they would let me walk down the street if I wanted to by myself, just because of my job. So we ended up, everybody marked all of their seats. And I had the front row. I had the front center directly in front of the TV. And the markers are there all day long. Well, the TVs are still on all day long. So people come in, they leave, watch TV. They may watch a show that's on during the day and they leave. And that's fine, because what they would typically do is someone's sitting there, like the marker's there. What they would do is just move the marker over a little bit, sit there, watch their show, and move the marker back. Totally fine. Totally normal behavior, respectful. No one, cares one way about it. Not a problem. About 30 minutes before the show is supposed to start, there's this guy who'd only been there for about 6 months to a year. There's a black guy. And like I said, I'd already made parole. And so generally I was being very well behaved, very well mannered, trying to stay out of trouble, ensuring I get to go home. And this guy's sitting there. And again, not a big deal. But he starts talking shit. Like somehow he's going to take over this room. He's going to watch another show while we're watching Animal Kingdom. Well, every TV in this place was going to be tuned to Animal Kingdom because there was that many people that wanted to watch it. Normally, you might split up one or the other and then have sports on the back, but literally all 3 TVs were going to be watching Animal Kingdom. That's how many people wanted to watch this show. So this guy's sitting there and he's basically making a fucking stink, like he's going to take over this room and everybody's going to watch, this other fucking show. And people were pissed. Well, what he did was my marker. He sat in my seat and he took my marker and he threw my fucking marker on the ground. And he just pushed it off. And he's like, I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. I lost it. I walked up to the TV, I yanked the fucking plug out of the wall, grabbed the TV, and I said, all right, bitch, this is mine. All this other shit, this is mine. You're a fucking guest here now. Every motherfucker in this room wants to watch this show, and I guarantee you, if you fuck this up for the rest of us, if you cause this TV not to be on here while this show's on here, I guarantee you, you're not going to walk out of this room. So there was probably 40 people in the room at the time, and no one said a word. Everybody just standing there. But clearly all these people wanted to watch the show. So he just kind of looked around and everybody's just staring at him. And no one's going to sit there and help him. And unfortunately for him, fortunately for me, unfortunately for him, obviously it was very well known what it was that I did there. I worked for the warden and the lieutenant. If the camp needed something, I saw to it that it was done. And so that he knew that I wasn't going to get in trouble because I had friendships. I had, like I've told you guys, these guys were shaking my hand as I was leaving. And of course, for him, it would go very badly. It would go the exact opposite direction, as it should have. There's 180 men out here, and literally 150 of them wanted to watch this show. You're not going to fuck that up for everybody. So, anyway, there was some violent moments early on where I had to deal with some physical violence and things like that. Just fights. Fortunately, it never got me in trouble because I never lost. But that's also a big thing there too, because you work and you're around guards so often. If they see on your knuckles, things like that. I remember I got a scratch on my leg one time working outside, and I had to go I had a guard see it, and they reported it because they want to make sure it's not an injury from a fight or something like that. It was kind of fucked up. There's a lot of fucked up stuff that would happen there. So anyway, that's that's probably the worst of it. Like I said, it's a really weird environment. And you typically see, like I said, you kind of see a lot of people hang out. Fortunately for me, it was kind of like the way I was in high school. I never was part of like one particular group, but I was kind of cool with everybody. And I would go out of my way to help anybody. If someone needed something, I certainly helped people. There was people I helped study for their GED because I have experience with finances and things like that. I would help people. Literally, people had no idea about how to open a bank account. I would sit there and walk them through the process. I would talk to people about helping out and building their credit. I would talk to people about how you go and just something as simple as getting a credit card. I would help walk them through that stuff. But of course, in that environment too, everybody has a grand plan of being an entrepreneur. You sit there and everybody thinks about being a business person. That's the biggest thing there, other than a musician. You hear a lot of people that want to be rappers and musicians and stuff like that. But everybody there has dreams to start their own business, which is great. 99% of them never will. But it's a way better thing to spend your time thinking about and talking about than thinking about new ways of selling drugs or committing new crimes or creating a syndicate over here or whatever. It's way better than that. And so I would talk to people about, I would walk them through how to set up an LLC and what the difference is between an LLC or we'll call it a C Corp and an S Corp. I would talk to people about the tax ramifications of certain things and walk them through what this means and who they should consult with. And it was a really neat dynamic. And so I got along with a lot of people, but food was a major thing. And so I just didn't get to eat with a lot of the white people. So I am friends to this day with two of the black guys that I would eat with all the time. Friends to this day. Actually, Peacemaker commented on the video the other day. He was there. It's where I met him. And we worked together in the maintenance department. And we became close friends, and we would eat together every night. We would cook meals, and we were both fortunate. You know, he had a family that would put money on his commissary books. I had money, and so we would split them. And so we'd make tacos and we make other stuff. I tell you what, that's another thing that's there is the ingenuity of these individuals, like the know-how and get shit done of individuals. And I guess with enough time and freedom, that you can come up with any number of things. And I tell you what, it was some of the things that were done there were just unbelievable to me. And I'll tell you just a couple of them where, we had these hot pots, and what it is, it's basically it looks like a little tea kettle, but it's clear, and it's got a burner on the bottom, a heating element on the bottom. And what it does is it heats the water so you can make coffee, or you can put it in rice, or in in like a ramen noodle soup or something like that. I won't fucking eat ramen noodle soup to this day because of that place. But you have this hot pot, and it's got this heating element on it. And what it does, it only gets so hot and it shuts off. So what people found out how to do is how to jump them. And what you could do is, if you got your hands on a paper clip or a small piece of copper wiring, no more than really 6 inches long, what you could do is put a little hook on one end, just bend it around on one side, and then kind of curve it a little bit. And you could feed this hook up through the bottom of the hot pot, and you'd fish it around to these little connectors. And what you do is you'd hook it inside one of the connectors, and then you pull it tight so that the wire touches the other connector. And what that does is it bypasses the shutoff. So it would make the hot pots boil. So you could put water in them and make them boil. Obviously, for cooking purposes, that was amazing. So, someone taught me how to do that so I could have boiling water. Well, then we started getting, because with people cooking out there, what we ended up doing was we took these bowls. You could buy these big white bowls. And what we did was we cut a hole in the bottom of the bowl. Just a hole about maybe, 2-3 inches across. Cut it in the bottom of the bowl, and you could take the bowl and set it down on top of the open hot pot, and all the steam from the water would come out. Now you got a little steamer. So then you could take another bowl, and again, ingenuity. The guys would take another bowl, and they'd cut a small little hole about this big in it. Again, these bowls get really hot, so you don't want to be touching them. So they would put handles on them. What they would do is they would cut the tops of the toothpaste lid off, take off the screw cap, cut around the top, around that top circle, and you have the disc with the threads on top, and then you have the cap. So you cut that little bitty hole in the top of that bowl, you feed the cap, or you feed the threads through the bottom, you screw down the top, and you got a handle. So what we would end up doing is when we would make tacos we're talking about rice and beans, and you'd have chicken or tuna, and we had condiments and stuff you could all buy. You would get these chip bags. You could buy chips on commissary. You could buy big ones, big bags, little bags, things like that. And we'd get these chip bags, and you'd make the tacos. You roll them up in the tortillas, and then you put them down inside the chip bag. Okay? And then you take that chip bag and you close it off nice and tight. And then in the bottom of the bottom bowl, you take 2 spoons and you lay them over top of each other. And then you put the bag of tacos directly on top of that. And what that does is obviously it elevates the bag off of the hole so the steam can come up and feed inside the bowl. I mean, the ingenuity of this shit was amazing. I'll tell you, I kind of got carried away one time when I was in the maintenance department. They put me in the tool room, which gave me access to every single tool imaginable. And I'm in a room. I mean, it's a super secured location. So you got to have like me, you got to have the trusty, plus you got to have like all kinds of other like sign-offs and clearances for me to even be in there. They don't allow any other inmates in there. It's only other guards. So it's literally just me. And I have every single tool you can imagine. It was a big part of it was great because I've been building my entire life. So I got to literally play with all these tools. Part of my job was just logging things in and cleaning stuff. And I would make sure and I'd maintain the tools and stuff like that. But I would get bored. And so when I was bored, I would take tools out into the shop and I could make stuff. I mean, I was there so I could make whatever I wanted. I'd make picture frames. There was, some spare plexiglass. I'd literally make cutouts and put, inserts. I would do all kinds of different really cool picture frames for people. And I did a bunch of stuff. But like I said, I had access to everything. And so we had this router table. It was a homemade kind of router table, and the router would go up on the bottom of it and it would mount up in the bottom. And I wanted to make a blender because we had ice, and the guys wanted to make iced coffee. So I took a hot pot and I cut out the bottom. I cut the holes. I took the guts out of the bottom of it, and I put a hole all the way through the center on the inside. And I made a rod. It took a rod that was big enough that would fit inside of the router in the routing table. And I have to make it to where it can all be broken down. You can't leave it sitting like that. So I made it to where the rod would go through the bottom of the inside of the hot pot and go into the routing table, and then I could tighten the collet down on the routing table, and it would tighten. So now I got a hot pot, and I made a rod, and I made some little blades on top of there, and you could put ice inside there and turn the routing table on, and you got a blender. It was some of the craziest shit you could imagine. And like I said, the ingenuity actually came up with a way to make a grill. We actually used, you couldn't do it in the dorms because it would burn, and everything was painted. But what you could do is if you had, on our beds, you had lockers under them and the lids flip up, and you could tie the lid off to where it's up and you'd be able to get inside there, stuff like that. You gotta be careful because it's fucking steel. I've had them come down on my head where the thing came down, it wasn't tied off, or, God forbid your fingers in there, you're going to get fucked up, because they'll fuck your fingers up. Well, you could take the hot pot burner, you jump it, put it up on the bottom of the lid, open the lid up to where it's sitting flat, put the burner up under it on the bottom side of it, and leave it there, and it would make that lid super hot, so you could actually cook stuff on there if you wanted to. I never actually saw any of the tattoo guns that they use there, the tattoo machines. But again, it's insane the ingenuity that they would come up with. I mean, we would get we'd go into lockdown because the solenoids off the dishwashers in the kitchen were missing. So they would lock everybody down. So, I mean, there's just so many crazy experiences from being there. But as I'll always say, it certainly creates a different perspective on life. It certainly makes you grateful for the things that you have, especially me. I'm super grateful. So many of the guys that are there that I still talk to this day that are enjoying their lives home. They appreciate their lives home, and so they're staying here, and they're staying out of trouble, and they're doing the right thing, taking care of their family, taking care of their kids, doing their jobs, and just living their life. And it may not be the biggest life, and it may not have been the life they were living when they were selling drugs and robbing people, but they're free and they're home, and they're appreciative of what they've got. And it certainly changes that perspective of things, where you get to come home and you get to be happy and because you're around people that you love, and you get to do the things that you want. And it really is, it changes the whole perspective on things. So I have to say, from my personal experience, again, all this stuff makes me super, super appreciative of who I am today, the changes I've made in my life, the things I get to do, the experiences I get to have. I mean, just today I got called on some more amazing news for work. Another big client bringing us on. Just some amazing stuff, and I can't express how grateful I am. So anyway, here's to 200 YouTube subscribers. I hope to get 200 more, maybe 2,000 more. But whatever it is, I appreciate it. And here's to all my friends and family. Thank you so much. You guys without you guys, I couldn't have done any of this stuff. Without y'all, I would be nothing. I'm sure I would make something of my life, but it would not be a full life. It would be an unfulfilled life without my friends and family. And I just thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for everything y'all do, especially my mom and my dad. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for being there for me and never giving up on me, and always trusting in me and supporting me for everything. And thank y'all. So, guys, that's all I got for today. Tomorrow got a golf tournament, then a baby gender reveal, and so I'll be out all weekend long. Got a lot going on. Hopefully I can get up to see Braxton on Sunday. He's going to start moving into his new apartment tomorrow. Oh, it's just insane. Insane to think about. He got a haircut today. It's so funny that my son fought being anything like me for the longest time. He has no tattoos, and I don't foresee him getting tattoos, but he's always fought being like me. But everybody, of course, tells him, like, you're just like your dad. Like, your mouth, the way you act, everything's just like your dad. When we walk together, it's like identical strides and everything. It's the weirdest thing. Well, he got a haircut. Well, I've been growing out my hair so that in the back is finally getting to the point where I'm going to braid it all together, be able to do like Viking braids and stuff like that. Never a man bun. Just won't ever do that shit. But the sides of my head is shaved. Well, Braxton's always had longer hair. And his hair's curly, so he's always kept his hair a little bit longer. Well, it's funny because today he sent me a video. He sent me and my mom a video, and it was of his new haircut. And he's working towards a mullet. where he's got the hair in this area, this part of his head is shaved and it fades in, and he's got the longer hair. It's long up top, long in the back, and it's like shaved right there. He's working on a fucking mullet, and eventually he's going to be just like me. And I told him that, and I said, man, you fought against it for so long, but you're going to end up just like me. So, that poor kid. So anyway, hopefully I get to go see him Sunday. He's going to start moving into his apartment tomorrow. Maybe I'll go see him on Sunday, go help out a little bit, and just go hang out. So anyway, thank you all so much. Thank you for everything. I appreciate it, and I love all y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you for everything, and I'll talk to y'all soon.